This week we played Dominion, which was published by Rio Grande Games. It's a medieval-themed card-based game involving deck building and hand management. It says that it's for 2 to 4 players and should take about 30 minutes. We played 2 games. One took about 30 minutes and the other took probably 45. And I'd say that's pretty average. In terms of craftsmanship and quality, this game is made up pretty much of your standard cards. They're not really flimsy and they're not overly stocky.
I think the layout, particularly on the cards, the artwork and the layout is really well done. They kind of remind me a lot of Magic the Gathering cards where they have the artwork at the top. And then you have a small rule set at the bottom. Treasure cards are gold and you've got your green for victory points and then grays for action cards. So when you're going through your hand, it's really easy to determine what cards are not important and what cards are important the minute you draw them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that makes gameplay go a lot quicker.
One thing I noticed about the treasure cards is after a few games of play, certain copper and silver and gold cards are played over and over, and they're the ones on the top of the deck, and they're the more bent-in ones, so maybe it's a good thing to shuffle those frequently.
You're supposed to build up. Your family's been peaceful for a long time, but you're expansion-minded, and you found out that some of the other kings in the area are expansion-minded as well, and so your goal is to build up as much property in terms of land masses as you can. I think that the mechanics of these cards could be transferred to pretty much any theme, and you could still play it, but
Sure.
I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing. I think it's just that means, in my mind, that the cards work well together.
It's cool because you can mix and match them and you still get the feel of definitely sort of medieval feel and an expansionist feel. One of the things I thought was really actually great about this game is that the first time I played it, I was amazed. It takes a while when you first buy it because all the cards come stacked together, but they are separated by type, and you have this little sort of a cheat sheet, and on the backside you can make your own if you want to arrange it in a different way. But when you put the cards up, what you do is you slot them in different locations by the different types. So if I had the adventure card, I would just slot it in alphabetical order under adventure, and it makes it really easy when you play the game to find the cards you need very quickly. So I thought that was one outstanding feature in terms of organization and accessibility to the game.
It took us, 30 minutes to play a quick round at the beginning, and that was the first time that I'd ever played. And I think in that 30-minute round, outside of learning what other individual action cards actually meant, I got the game mechanics down really easily, and you always start with the same hand at the beginning, which is really easy to figure out, and I think that facilitates a quick gameplay too, because you're always starting from the same spot.
Depending on how many players play too, you start with a different amount of victory cards, and so that was one thing I did have to look up even after playing this game multiple times. I had to be sure I had the right amount out.
The gameplay is really simple. It's just a matter of learning all the action cards. 'Cause
Yeah.
this was the third time I played it, and I was still looking over to figure out what each of them did and how they work together and everything. And I think that's kind of a double-edged sword because it's really fun to mix them up and play with different action cards every time, but at the same time it kind of slows it down at the beginning, figuring out which ones you need to play early and which ones you need to hold on to and how they're going to work together.
The first time we played the game, we played by one of the prescribed rule sets, I guess, collections of cards. And the second time we played with sort of a random allotment. And I think the random allotment that we chose made it a little more difficult to play in terms of game time and the fact that everyone was trying to kind of grief each other or, use the militia to make someone discard down to 3 cards. But at the same time, I thought the interaction was fun, and I don't know, I found that I wasn't really great at timing when to start picking up victory points and when to start collecting gold because I was having fun with the cards, and I just wanted to screw Matt over with a militia card. So I don't know. Necessarily for me it was fun, but I never won. I never felt like I was ever going to win because I was just doing so badly. But I enjoyed that aspect of it.
I think the one aspect of gameplay that I liked the most was just that even with our kind of you know, wonky set of action cards. There were multiple strategies within there. And I think, you know, like Austin and I, who tied that game, I got 30 exactly.
31.
Oh, no way. Oh, wait. 31.
Oh, what the fuck?
We both took completely different strategies in the action cards that we took, but we ended up with the same amount of victory points at the end, playing completely differently through the deck. I feel like it's kind of a situation, though, where more experience playing with the different action card sets would probably lead to more fun for me, just because, you know, there were things about the strategy that I played that once I got into the game, I didn't have time to change if I wanted to win.
I feel like the game is about 20% luck and then 80% strategy, because you still have to work with what you draw. And then from there, you have to build your cards to make that hand work the best for you.
As far as the player interaction goes, even though we built this deck kind of as a PvP deck, and we had some fun, especially Travis fucking us all over with
the witch, yeah.
That was awesome.
I'm on a moat.
I still lost, though.
I still feel like there's not that much interaction. Like when it's my turn, I'm playing my cards. I'm not thinking about what cards other people have, or you know, whose turn is next or anything. I think it'd be cool if there were cards that like targeted specific players. And for instance, like when other people are going, I don't even really pay attention to what they're picking up, or I mean, occasionally, like, you know, I want to know who has a lot of provinces, but because I can't directly affect anyone, you know, you don't really have to pay attention to specific people. It's just, you know, if someone else is getting ahead of you, then you have to get ahead of them.
Well, in terms of replayability, for sure, I think that this is a game that leaves open tons of replay time. If you have a group of people that just want to do something quick and fun. I mean, it took us 30 and 40 minutes to play games, so you could play a quick round. And once, you know, the box, like we showed earlier, you know, that's organized, you can pretty much lay it out in a matter of minutes. And we've said that there's multiple strategies for each way that the action cards are laid out. And I mean, personally, even though this was a weird set that we played, I'd like to play this set again, because I only tried what I thought was half of the strategy.
You have a lot of cards that we didn't use. There's like 25 different cards. We used not even 20 of them because we played with a lot of the same cards over again. And additionally, you know, there's early game strategies, there's mid game strategies, and then there's strategies at the end where you're really just collecting.
I also think that, especially once you've played a number of times, you're going to find certain sets of cards that end up being really quick games, and other sets that become drawn out, and there's more interaction. I think that's a really cool thing, that it can either be a game that you just throw down and play for, you know, 20 or 30 minutes, or it can be something that's really drawn out.
The thing I really like about the game is that it uses that, I wouldn't say that, I don't know if it's really necessarily a living rule book that Magic the Gathering has, but it's definitely a abstract rule book, and that the rules themselves are on the cards, and so you can mix and match the rules into what you want. I really liked that. I like the game. I think it's pretty cool. It plays really quick, and for $30 you get quite a few cards. So yeah, I think the game is definitely worth buying.
Yeah, I mean, I would pretty much echo everything you've said.
Yeah, I think especially just because of the replayability of it, and because it is so different every time, that I would say you're definitely getting your money's worth for what it is.
Yeah, because that's a feature that, you know, we've talked about a few times, and I keep forgetting. It's just that, you know, you could play it at the beginning and the end of a night and play two completely different games.